Pro athletes make millions of dollars every year. Occasionally, some decide to spend it all. Let's look at a couple today. Johnny Manziel is back in the news as he was featured in an awesome documentary called Johnny Football, the most recent episode in the Untold series on Netflix. After being drafted number 22 overall in the 2014 NFL Draft, Manziel signed a contract with the Browns that would pay him $8.24 million over the following 4 years. With a $4.3 million signing bonus, Manziel was a multi-millionaire at the age of 21. While $8.4 million may sound like a lot of money, athletes make most of their money with their second contract. Teddy Bridgewater was the next quarterback selected after Manziel and has signed $62 million worth of contracts following his first contract. Manziel made money in college, so he wasn't entering the league as your typical college kid. As documented in the film, he was getting paid well to sign autographs. I imagine he was earning money from appearances as well. When you win the Heisman, monetization of your name, image, and likeness is easy money. Back to the $8.4 million. To me and you, this is life-changing money, and hopefully you and I wouldn't burn through it in a couple years. I really hope Manziel isn't broke, but he certainly spent money like he had more than $8.4 million. There was indication that he routinely flew private, hung around celebrities, and lived the life of someone with multiple millions of dollars. And he just signed a contract that would pay him a signing bonus of $4 million on that day, so yes, he technically had multiple millions of dollars. But his agent likely took around 4%, taxes will take another 45%, and other various expenses will tally up another couple percent. Another issue, Manziel was cut by the team for his performance and behavior such that he didn't even play a fourth year. He made $7.7 million total over 3 years. I'll round up to $4 million in his pocket after taxes and expenses. Over 3 years, that's around $1.33 million per year, or around $110,000 a month. But Spencer, $110,000 a month is a crazy income. There's no way he spent that. When you're the starting quarterback in the NFL, you're eating out at the finest dining, you're flying private, you have a team of friends to act as your entourage, you buy multiple cars, and rent is likely the highest in the city. Cleveland is affordable, but you can find houses that rent for over $10,000 a month there. Additionally, players like Manziel typically have a house in a different city for the off-season as well. For instance, many have a house in Los Angeles during the off-season. Here's a house that rents for $60,000 per month in a non-exclusive area in LA and wouldn't be considered a mansion in that city. Point being that these guys can spend more money than you may realize on houses, cars, luxury dining, and overall lifestyle. Spending $100,000 a month as a party-driven star quarterback focused on the limelight and fame is incredibly easy. Manziel and other athletes have notoriously not taken good care of their finances, and it's also possible that they weren't taking good care protecting their identity. I partnered with Aura so you can be protected. When I first used Aura, I was impressed and horrified at how much of my personal information it was able to find and how many alerts were being sent my way. By scanning the deepest parts of the dark web, Aura finds and removes your personal information. This prevents scammers and hackers from getting their hands on your stolen passwords, emails, and social security number. I'm sure you've heard the horror stories in the news about identity theft, financial fraud, or getting hacked. I don't want that to be you, which is why Aura has the perfect solution for you and your family. Aura will identify data brokers that are exposing your information and automatically submit opt-out requests on your behalf, ensuring your digital safety. They'll even opt you out of junk mail and telemarketing lists. If you want an all-in-one service that monitors your identity and credit, gives you a VPN, password manager, internet parental controls, and protects your devices from malware, then check out Aura today for a 2-week free trial. Go to aura.com/Spencer to start your 2-week free trial by clicking the link in the description below or scanning the QR code. Back to the video. Phil Mickelson hit the news this morning as he's featured in Billy Walters' new book. Phil Mickelson bet more than $1 billion on football, basketball, and baseball over the past 3 decades, and even allegedly attempted to place a $400,000 wager on Team USA in the 2012 Ryder Cup in which he participated. A friend sent me this ESPN post on Facebook citing betting records and sources. Walters estimates that from 2010 to 2014, Mickelson's bets included 858 bets of $220,000, 1,100 bets of $110,000, and approximately $100 million of losses. Holy smokes, $100 million in losses? I have never heard of a gambling addiction as bad as Phil's. Charles Barkley and Michael Jordan were known to have gambling addiction as well, but not to this extent, I hope. If Phil lost $100 million gambling, then he had to make around $200 million to lose $100 million of after-tax money. I know a lot of you who watch these videos say, but Spencer, that athlete makes $20 million per year. He'll never go broke. It absolutely can. Is Phil going broke? No. But this is an example of how easy it can be to lose hundreds of millions of dollars. SpotTrack had Mickelson's career earnings around $106 million. On Sportskeeda, they estimate Phil makes around $50 million per year in endorsements. Whatever the actual number is for his endorsements, Phil has likely made multiple hundreds of millions of dollars outside the course during his career. Callaway, KPMG, Workday, Barclays, and ExxonMobil. His deal with Barclays was a long-standing one spanning over 15 years. I think these numbers are private, but I think a majority of golfers' earnings come from sponsorships. Tiger Woods is a great example. It's estimated he makes over $60 million per year from Nike alone. If Phil's sponsors are a quarter of that and he's been with them for 10 plus years, he's pulled in another $100 million from those alone. Phil Mickelson officially listed in the field for the LIV Golf Opener in London, hearing from a source that Mickelson signed a contract Saturday night worth around $200 million. If that's even close to the actual number, that gives you an idea on how much he made from converting over to LIV. The guys at the top make way too much money to ever be broke, and sometimes they're just a single day away from getting back in the black if they do go broke. Phil played golf's version of a one-on-one match in 2018 against Tiger Woods and won an estimated $9 million. Even if Phil blew through all of his money gambling, he could still bounce back and have enough retirement money from one match or just one season of golf. Billy Walters and Phil were known to be close friends years ago, and if Phil's gambling addiction ever hurt him, he could just bankroll Billy, make money, and fulfill his gambling addiction. If you aren't familiar, this is Ja Morant, star point guard for the Memphis Grizzlies. He unfortunately has been hanging around the wrong crowd lately, and it's gotten him into a lot of trouble. The best summary is from this ESPN article. In March, Morant, 23, was suspended for 8 games after an Instagram live video showed him displaying a firearm in a Denver area nightclub, and the days after, Morant spent time at a counseling facility in Florida. 2 months later, the two-time All-Star was filmed posing with a firearm in a car. The Grizzlies suspended Morant from team activities then, and he has remained so since. Morant was suspended by the NBA for 25 games, which many believed was lighter than expected. Morant is legitimately lucky he's still in the league. A big reason is because he's such an amazing player on the court. Had he not been so lucky, he would have missed out on the $197 million contract he signed that could be as high as $231 million if he makes All-NBA. The purpose of this series is to show you how quickly financial ruin can happen, even for someone as wealthy as a young athlete. Professional sports is the only get-rich-quick scheme in existence, and if they live a lifestyle that requires millions of dollars per year in income to support, they'll be in trouble when the paychecks stop. DJ Vlad posted this interview with Eddy Curry that was really sad to listen to. Eddy Curry made an estimated $70 million during his playing career, which at the time was a relatively significant amount before the TV money really kicked in. Eddy explained how his accountant used power of attorney to take out loans under Eddy's name and basically wipe out all the money he had. These guys have to walk through a minefield off the court. They are targets because their net worth is painted on their forehead. Their contracts are public, so everyone in their life knows they make millions. An interesting development in a different sport is the UFC getting hit with a lawsuit that has now been elevated to class action status. In essence, they're alleging the UFC paid them a lot less than they should have, and that the UFC has formed a monopsony on the professional MMA market, which hurts all MMA fighters as a result. This has been a hotly held debate in the professional fighting world, as fans all want to see the fighters get paid more because they think the majority of the money is flowing to the top, to a guy who doesn't have to risk his life in the octagon. I made a video a year ago titled The Truth About UFC Fighter Pay, where I detailed why the UFC could afford to pay the fighters more money. The UFC is a brutal sport for fighters right now. The top fighters are of course pulling in a lot of money, but it's the middle class that doesn't make nearly as much money as you'd think. I just looked up the top fighters in the middleweight division at random just to see what type of earnings they have. Jared Cannonier is number 4 and has an estimated career earnings of less than $1.5 million. If you're the number 4 guy at your position in the NBA, you're making $30 million per year and can play for 10 plus years. If you're the number 4 guy at your position in the NFL or NBA, you're making $10 to $30 million per year and can play for more than a few years. Marvin Vettori is another guy who's estimated to have made less than $2 million in his career. These are standout fighters that are the best in the world in their weight class, and they haven't even earned enough to be set for life. That's insane, because this is a sport that's generating billions of dollars in revenue. The UFC had an estimated EBITDA of around $600 million in the year 2022. Not allowing fighters to have their own sponsors is similar to the NCAA not allowing their athletes to monetize their name, image, or likeness for so long, in my opinion. Despite fans seeing Conor and Francis and the money the top guys are making, the bottom 80% are just getting by after paying their team and various expenses. The sport is so advanced now that fighters are having to invest all their time and energy into training in order to compete, and some will only make around $50,000 a fight. Karis LeVert threw a house party and allegedly had his $93,000 watch stolen from his bedroom, per TMZ Sports. According to cops, someone was seen in LeVert's bedroom during the festivities, and when the Hooper went to check out the situation, he noticed his watch case was open and his $93,000 Peugeot was missing. I saw this tweet the other day, and it's just a reminder of the minefield these guys walk outside of the games they play. Can you imagine someone attending your party at your house in what I imagine was an exclusive invite and stealing your $100,000 watch? Karis has made $60 million in his career, so he'll hopefully be fine, but it's so mind-blowing to me how quickly these guys can lose or spend significant amounts of money. Back in July 2017, star receiver Julio Jones hired a dive team to find his lost $150,000 diamond earring during a day at the lake. When you have money, many doors open up for you to spend it, which is why it's always better to invest first, then live off the returns. Thanks for watching.